Hello, I'm Lisa Bowerman and I play Bernie Summerfield, and welcome to Audio Heads Podcast.
Hello from the moon. This is Audio Heads, a product of Geeks Assembled, and we are here with 4 Earthlings and myself. I'm a Selenite, and just wondering how everybody liked The Adventure of First Men in the Moon by H.G. Wells. Love H.G. Wells stuff. Want to know how everybody related to this material. So please, let's begin with Kieran, as he is our new reviewer, and please feel free to introduce yourself and then do your opening thoughts about the First Man on the Moon.
Thank you, Susan. Yes, my name is Kieran. The First Men in the Moon was a remarkable story, actually, a story I had no problem with. Now, I have never actually fully seen The First Men in the Moon on TV in its entirety. I've seen little tiny bits on Film 4 here and there, so I went into this story with an open mind, and I came out really pleased with the outcome. Big Finish has produced another cracking adventure narrative. The story itself was very simple, yet very effective. Geffen Anthony, I think that's how you pronounce his first name, plays Mr. Bedford, who is sort of a greedy man who runs away from his own problems, and he basically gets a free trip to the moon. Geffen Anthony keeps his story alive and flowing with his magnificent narrative. Nigel Planner's Professor Caviar, I need to listen to that one again, his name. He is a man of science, and Nigel's Planner's performance is so full of delight and joy. He, in my opinion, I feel would actually make a very good first Doctor, because he's really got a good voice for it. It's just something I would actually like to see. Both of those actors really bound off each other, a really astonishing double act. Lisa Bowerman, who is the director of this story, I give full credit to her because, as always, she just shines, and her directing by her was incredible, really tight and compact. She kept the story flowing, and it never once slowed down. And also the score was very calm and relaxing, which worked perfectly well with the story. This story is really good, and after listening to this, I really want to go and read and actually watch The First Man in the Moon. A very exceptional tale, and I can see why people give it a lot of praise. It is something which I would definitely listen to again.
Thanks, Kieran, and welcome. You can come anytime you want. Let's see, Tim Wells, what did you think of First Man in the Moon?
Well, I would agree with Kieran 100%. It was very good. It had the feel of like a 50s B movie. And like him, I was unfamiliar with the story completely. But I agree that Planer was doing his best impersonation of the Cushing Doctor. I think it was a very, very much reminded me of that, the way he was all about his science and whatnot. One thing that I thought was unexpected and quite shocking, actually, was the twist ending. I mean, it just suddenly ends with the Earth being invaded, and these guys kind of brought it upon themselves with all their tinkering, and they inadvertently they just kind of invited an invasion of the planet, which I thought was a great way to end it, because there you go. It's a rather shocking, sad ending to the dark ending to what was basically a pretty lighthearted two-hander for the most part. So yeah, it was a very fun listen. I think going into these things, it's good not to be familiar with the story, because then it can just surprise and amaze you as they go along. And yeah, we need more of these. So there you go.
Thanks, Tim. How about you, Beef Dad? Oh no, you're taking a drink. Lee, please. We'll go to Lee first.
Yeah. The young ones before Beef Dad. Look at me. Well, I know the movie. I haven't seen it for years. It's different to the movie. This is sort of stuck to the H.G. Wells book. Nigel Planer, I agree. He was very doctorish mannerisms, which I enjoyed. Gethin Anthony, yes, he's, and I'll say it again, people know I'm not very fond of narration, but he was telling his side of the story to Chloe Perry. So that worked for me. It was part of the story. He was just retelling his side of the story to her. I love this. It's a quaint little story, and as Tim brought up, the ending, boom, and it's gone. A very shock ending. Very sort of reminiscent of Doctor Who-ish kind of stories with the, Seeds of Death and stuff like that, and Seeds of Doom, or whatever you call it, but all these pods, and all the plants. It's a very quaint story. It's not overly long, because we have reviewed some of these H.G. Wells ones where they do go on for quite a while. But this one, ideal length. It kept me enthralled. Great supporting cast. I can't remember the actor's name now. Is it David Horowitz, who plays the leader of the aliens on the moon? Brilliant actor. I've seen him in loads and loads of TV stuff, especially the Miss Marple back in the old days with John Hickson. Brilliant characterisation of the Emperor, or whatever he was called. But yeah, I enjoyed this. Big Finish. They always come on top. There's only a few duff ones Big Finish have ever released, but this one, I enjoyed it. Really did. Now we can go over to Beef Dad. Oh, sorry, Susan, you can introduce the main man of the cast.
Okay, Beef Dad, please. What's your opening thoughts and your stuff?
Well, I did see the original black and white silent film of it, made in 1900 and frozen to death. That was I believe it was made by the French filmmakers. But yeah, lately I really enjoyed David Horowitz playing the Grand Luna. He really was just so good, so creepy. Nigel playing yes, it was almost as if he did it as an audition for the next Doctor. And of course, I'll always remember him from the young ones. So yeah. Alan Cox also did a good job of infilling as sort of Shaps Bartoli. I loved his Italian. I did. I loved the Italian guy, and of course he did Solo Nights as well. As always, every time, brilliant soundscape, absolutely brilliant soundscape. And I have a feeling that Lisa Bowman really had her grip on this one, and she did a brilliant job. Bless her. I must have a word with her about that. But yes, she's just a great director. Gethin Anthony doing Bedford. Yeah, his narrations were good, but the actual interplay between him and Professor Cavor, especially when they were talking about the creation of Cavorite as a means of escaping the Earth's gravity, the blending between the two of them was absolutely amazing. It really was very, very, very good. Now shut up.
Thank you. No, I mean, no, it was, it was really cool. I love Nigel Planer. I think that he is really odd and very, alien anyway. And so I enjoyed the way he was, so excited about his scientific journey to the moon, and then how they were, dragged under the surface to meet the Selenites, and he was he went in there with just open eyes and really open-minded, and yet Bedford was just like, no, this is probably not going to go very well. And then they met the cows, and then they met the other classes of people, and they were just basically working their way up the ladder, the social economic ladder, to meet the emperor. And once they met the emperor of the moon, they started, without really being imbued with the authority to make decisions in relationship to the earth, they went into these, like, what ended up being negotiations and imprisonment and all these craziness. And then they were, Bedford escaped and went back to the earth, and Carvel was there, stuck on the moon, and trying to, use Morse code to communicate with people back on Earth. It was interesting. It was really, really interesting. And I'd seen probably 75% of one of the movies, and I was still like, this is so cool. Anyway, yeah, I'm enjoying the depth of characters that we're getting with these Big Finish audios. And I agree that Lisa Bowerman is, amazing, and she really nailed it. And I guess I will open the floor to your favorite moments. Let's go to Tim. Let's start with Tim, and then we'll work our way clockwise from there.
I thought it was interesting that in the first part, the first section, there was such a compelling duo of two very opposite people. You almost thought it'd be great if they had a spinoff, but it'd end up being very much like Doctor Who anyway, wouldn't it? Although they don't have a time machine, they just have a whatever that thing is they were flying around in. But yeah, I thought that was the most fun of it was the interplay between the two lead characters, and their whole happy-go-lucky adventure to the moon, which I just stress it was really shocking the way it ended like that, because it was like, whoa. But you know what? That makes a good story when they do things like that. I mean, you're just like, wow, I didn't see that coming. How tragic. So there you go. I thought it was a lot of fun.
All right, how about you, Beef Dad?
I love the appearance of the Lunar Lord. He's as I say, it was good. It was creepy. I also loved, as I said, the Italian who was getting the Morse code messages and translating them. I thought that really made me chuckle. And the bit with the seeds at the end, and the seeds then growing, I must confess, I'd forgotten about that. And I just went, oh, yes. It's brilliant. And as I say, I love the sound effects that they had for these things growing, for the selenites, for the growing stuff. It was just brilliant. It reminded me of the sound that I heard there was many years ago. I don't know if Lee will remember it. He might, because he's quite old, but he's not as old as me. But many years ago, on British television, they did a serial called The Red Grass. And this red grass took everything over and ate people and that. And they had this wonderful rustling sound effect, very similar to what they had for the growing plants in this, and it was just brilliant.
How about you, Lee? Since you were mentioned, what did you? What was your favorite point? Lee, what were your favorite points? Do you have any?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry. So you froze for a bit. That was all.
Oh.
Yeah. I like this because you've got to remember H.G. Wells wrote this well before space exploration happened. So he had no idea of when you're going into space. All he had on this vessel was shutters on the windows. It was just like a little living room because he took a complete works of Shakespeare to read on his journey, and Mr. Bedford took tidbits, which was quite funny. But yeah, it was sort of because I always class H.G. Wells alongside Jules Verne. They wrote very similar stories, and their descriptions in their books was very, very similar. But yeah, I loved it. It was brilliant. And I liked getting Anthony's character, as Karen mentioned to begin with, his greed. To begin with, he wanted to have casinos on the moon. He wanted to make money. Everything was about money. So it never happened. And yeah, I agree with Beef that the Italian who was receiving messages into his head was quite funny. And we never know what happened to the professor as well. Nothing's ever said whatever happened to the professor at the end of this. We know what happened to the planet Earth, but we don't know what happened to the professor. So he may have survived or he may not. We don't know. But yeah, all in all, it was really enjoyable all the way through. To see Nigel Planer, you got that image of Nigel Planer now as the professor bounding on the moon landscape. Over to you, Susan.
And Kieran, what would you think of one of your favorite bits?
My favourite moment would have to be when both Mr. Bedford and Professor Carver are in the sphere and they wait for the condensation on the window to die down. And Professor Carver gives such a glorious monologue of what they see outside with the sun rising. It's such a beautiful piece of writing. It's just really good. I really love that part.
All right. Well, my favorite part has got to be when they're under the surface of the moon, and I love when they're meeting the big Luna and the big Kahuna Luna, and I think that was really amazing. And so, yeah, I enjoyed the back and forth between the two, how different their personalities were. And I just love what Lee said about Nigel Planer bounding on the moon. There is a bit of the young ones where he takes a hit off of something that this friend of his can't remember what the friend's name is, but his friend hands him a pipe or a joint, and he takes a hit and he flies all the way up to the moon, and then these little creatures, push him back down and say, no, you don't belong here, and so he sinks gently back to Earth, and that's kind of the way it all seemed. It seemed like a really nice trip, only they were carrying death. Oh my gosh! Anyway, it's just like amazing. I will. Is there anything anybody wants to add to what they've already said?
Moon calves.
Okay.
May I ask one question? The guys that are up on the moon, do they actually wear spacesuits, or are they not in spacesuits on the moon? No.
The natives aren't.
No. The professor wasn't either.
It just seemed a bit,
Well, this was before. Space
I understand that.
Apparently the moon has an Earth-like atmosphere because they are able to create vegetation very quickly for the moon calves, and then they in turn eat the moon calves. So it suddenly becomes very Earth-like, which is funny because you can't see that from here.
No, but
and you would have thought they would have invaded Earth by now anyway, just because it's there. I mean, but instead they wait and then they get bugged by these guys, and then oh really? Oh, okay.
No, they were living underground, so you got to cut them a little slack.
I've got a question.
Okay.
It's for Beef Dad. He mentioned it earlier on the silent movie, the French movie. Is that the one with the rocket in the moon's eye?
Yeah, well, basically what they did, the Méliès brothers, is they also grabbed a bit of Jules Verne and used that for the sort of rocket in the splat in the moon's eye and everything. But what they did do is they lifted out the complete of H.G. Wells bit for under the moon's surface, and the whole thing was done with that. But that was in 1902, because the actual first full adaptation of this was done in 1910.
Yeah, so you just confirmed it then. I have seen the silent movie, same as you then.
Yeah.
So 59 years or 58 years before the Earth actually properly, invaded the moon.
Basically, yes.
If you believe it.
Oh.
Yeah, that was just Stanley Kubrick.
Oh. Well, even if it was a farce, I'm impressed with like the Jules Verne and especially this H.G. Wells. Their theories and their enthusiasm for space travel before space travel was space travel, and their enthusiasm for submarine adventures and adventures in science. It's just phenomenal. They're like, those two were amazing. So, yeah. Anything else you guys want to add?
Yeah, we just need to wait for the time travel to start.
Yes. Exactly. Which we do. Okay. Let's give this thing a numerical number, and let's do our final say, and yeah, so I will start off the way we started at the beginning. Let's start off with Kieran. What would you rate it out of 10? And
I would give this actually a solid 10 out of 10. Never once did I get bored, and once again, the A.J. Wells adaptation range is really shining, and this one is another prime example of a good Victorian science fiction story, which everyone should definitely try out.
Thanks. And Tim, please.
I agree with that. Big Finish continues to amaze with not just their Doctor Who material, but with all the other things they take on. I think, like Lee mentioned earlier, every now and then you get a dud, but this one was really, really fun and really entertaining. So I'm going to give it a 9.5.
Thank you. And Lee, what would you say for your?
I would say, out of, since we've done the whole range now of the H.G. Wells, I've enjoyed everyone we've done apart from one, which was Island of Dr. Marak. Just not like that one. But this one, I enjoyed it. As Kieran says, he didn't get bored. I didn't get bored. And if you don't get bored listening to this, then it's doing its job. I'm giving this 10 moon calves out of 10.
Thanks, Lee. Okay, how about you, Beef Dad?
As always, Big Finish come up with the goods. They come up with a brilliant adaptation, a superb cast, amazingly well directed, and a completely incredible soundscape. And it grabs you right from the very beginning and doesn't want to let you go. And yeah, so for me, absolutely a solid gold 10.
Thank you. And for me, I will agree, a 10 out of 10. 10 little shiny Cavellite circles, spheres, traveling to the moon out of 10. Okay. Thanks for watching all of these H.G. Wells reviews for us. We'd love to have you join us. If you'd like to join our podcast, please listen to the audios and join our Facebook group to know what we're doing next. We're excited to let you know what we're doing next. And we're excited to have you join us on these things. We have a laugh. It's fun. And I'd love to have you guys give us a like. Please subscribe to our channel. And feel free to peruse. We've got movie reviews, television reviews from all sorts of things, and then also, enjoy our Beef Dad fan club. He's worth it. He's great, and come again in a fortnight and enjoy your time. Thanks, fellas, for being here, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.